This is another topic I'm actually personally just very interested to really speak about. For many gamers out there who love stealth, third person action, maybe slow paced kind of games as well, which have really been a hit with many IPs like Metal Gear Solid, for example. I'm sure many of you are aware with recent news with Hitman, but if not, I'll mention it. Now, the developer IO Interactive, who in like January 2021 published Hitman 3, have announced that they're going to rebrand their latest game into simply World of Assassination. So now it's called Hitman World of Assassination, bringing the trilogy into one game. Now, what does that mean? All the main content from Hitman 1 and Hitman 2 will now be merged with Hitman 3 into one singular game. So, like they said in a blog, and I'll rephrase it once again, for Hitman 3 into Hitman World of Assassinations. So now it's just simply going to be one game with 21 destinations. There are no longer going to be any sort of confusing purchasing decisions and redeeming access pass and which content to buy and so forth. But regarding extra DLC add-ons, I will explain further how the system goes. But I really like this, and they announced it in a blog post. So, now it's just going to be all in one and not just separate. Destinations, of course, coming back and merged like Paris, Marrakesh, Colorado, Bangkok as well, Mumbai, Miami as well, Berlin, Dubai as one of them. So like many locations seen throughout the World of Assassination trilogy going to be merged into one. So what does it mean Well, this is going to happen these changes will go into effect starting January 26th. So if you haven't played Hitman 3 or you're going to buy it soon, or if you haven't done so yet, I mean, now is actually a pretty good time. In fact, throughout digital storefronts, especially on Sony's PSN store, there's a discount with Hitman 3, pretty significant, around like $27 or something right now. So you can buy it, and if you want to wait until 26th of January just to have all three games and play them in one, you can. Now, what does that mean regarding the price tag when it's all brand new and changed? Now, World of Assassination game will cost $70. And while it's not exactly what we're all going to like, I mean, it's sort of the industry trend right now with new gen gaming consoles and a lot of the huge AAA games that are becoming expensive to make, releasing at $70 for brand new $500 consoles. It's not what we like, but I mean, we're accepting it whether we like it or not, and it's the norm as well. So for the deluxe pack, there's a deluxe pack. So what that means is that all the extra content released throughout the trilogy is now going to be sold into one. That'll include like the extra two destinations from Hitman 2, like Haven Island, New York as well, the two sniper naps of Siberia, Hantu Port, as well as the 7 deadly sins, and also like the 6 deluxe escalations plus contracts and challenges. Now that's going to be bundled into one deluxe pack instead of before trying to buy some of these and redeem it or whatever it may be. So deluxe pack includes like Hitman 3 deluxe pack, 7 deadly sins, and the expansion access pass. So that's it. That in itself will cost $30. So when you factor in the main game plus the deluxe pack, that's in total $100. That is a huge asking price. Now, at least the good thing is that now when you're trying to find and buy a new Hitman game online, there's no longer any weird confusion about what to purchase and so forth. It's now been simplified. And it's been a roller coaster journey. I mean, this is what they've been trying to do. They've envisioned their new Hitman games to be like one single player live service. And it all started like back in 2015 when they took the risky decision of releasing the Hitman 1 locations in episodic format and not all in like one game like you would see previously. and it didn't help as the commercial sales really fell below Square Enix's expectations. Square Enix, in this case, they were the developers of the first game in the trilogy, and they did publish Absolution. So Absolution sold well, even though it really divided a lot of fans who are fans of who love the Hitman games in itself. And part of the reason for this format is that, like I said, they envisioned it as a live single service experience. So that was so. In some ways, it sort of paid off because it kind of like slowly introduced people more to the Hitman IP and so forth. But that sort of episodic format, maybe it's good for like live interactive or interactive drama games such as like Life is Strange or other games made by Telltale and so forth. But it's cool that it gave players more of a sandbox environment and allowed them to have a playstyle that suited them, Although initial sales did falter, but I mean, like by November 2017, 13 million players have owned and played the games. Actually, sorry. By November 2017, 7 million copies were sold and it got improved with 13 million players by May 2018. Hitman 2 development. This is where things kind of got more difficult. And Square Enix had to divest IO Interactive, and they tried to do them a favor by selling them to a different publisher that will help them financially back them with the development costs and give them a backing with Hitman 2 as well. But they couldn't, so both sides agreed to a management buyout, which allowed IO Interactive to have more control of their game. So this allowed them to be sole owners of the IP and have publishing rights. It did help that because of the limited cash flow, the studio had to lay off like half of its employees and had to reduce the scope of the sequel. How much, we don't know. But when you look at the final product of Hitman 2, it seemed that a lot of people really loved and enjoyed what they got and consider Hitman 2 from 2018 as one of the best games in the series and one of the best stealth games of the generation in itself. So maybe some things worked out. But I mean, there were I think at the time they had like 200 employees and they had to lay off 40% of their 25% of their work. No, sorry. I keep mixing up the numbers. They had 400 employees and had to lay off 40% of their workforce. So it didn't help by the time the game itself was 25% complete. So there was some behind the scenes trouble regarding, employment layoffs and budget costs for the game in itself. Now, how did things really help them? Well, they made the first episode of Hitman 1 like a free-to-play, and then it made more players significantly interested, and they bought the full game, which there was like a complete first full season game in itself. And it did help them bring like a steady revenue. So it did help like bring some more money, but because of the limited manpower, they had to limit the scale of the sequel and some planned features were cut. But then again, planned content and features, it's normal in the gaming industry that for one reason or another, it gets cut. And most of the time, the results do work out well anyway, so it's not exactly like a surprise. But it's a good thing that development did go quickly because the foundation that was laid in the Hitman 2016 game helped further build Hitman 2 game and really improve it instead of just going off rails and include features that for a game like that with like social stealth features similar to Assassin's Creed that just doesn't make sense. So it did help that immediately that because there's demand for it, it showed that there are more players interested in that kind of game. And they were able to partner with Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, sign a deal, and help them with publishing rights for the sequel. And as well publish the definitive edition of Hitman 1. So everything from the first game, including extra missions bundled. So with that in mind, it still helped. But there had to be like cutbacks because of budget. Like cutscenes in Hitman 2, they used like still motion animation, meaning that they're like not everything not in motion. Does that make sense? Not full movement. It's just still images and there's like voiceover dialogue. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. There was concern that because of a competitive release window that was around the release of Hitman 2, the publisher weren't exactly happy that it was sort of a slow start in terms of commercial sales. But they did recuperate a lot of the development cost quicker than Hitman 1 did. So eventually sales did really go well for IO Interactive for their Hitman 2 game. And it did get nominated for Game Franchise Adventure and Control Design 3D at the NAV GTR Awards. Now, thankfully, the development of Hitman 3 did improve as well. Animated cutscenes did make a return, and the game's story became darker and more mature than previously, and much darker as well. So it's interesting that there was more of an emphasis on plot throughout the level instead of before and after the missions. So yes, the plot of the first two games, you'll know it, it'll make sense, but there's a stronger direction in the third game as well, but without compromising the gameplay as well. I think what makes these games so popular is how you play them, how you want to conduct your missions, the choices you make, and so forth. It reminds me of the Dishonored games, of how you either handle situations non-lethally or lethally as well. And like how and the disguises you use and all that cool stuff, and sandbox environments and all these exotic locations, and interacting with crowds. It's all pretty cool now that their vision is now coming together. It's just a shame that it took them a lot longer than usual, but I mean, this is what was going to happen. Will a fourth game of Hitman series be part of the world of Assassination? It's hard to know, but I'm just glad that things will work out for them for the better, and I'm just excited to see how it all looks like. I mean, oddly, I actually have a copy of Hitman 3, although on Windows Epic Game Store, that I claimed for free. So, pretty good timing, I mean. Although it looks like I have no reason to buy it unless I just want to play it on console, but since I have it on Windows, it's a good opportunity to download it and try it all at once.